Welcome, guys. Welcome once again. We have a couple of more people joining in. Others might be just joining in. Okay. So we'll start today's session. In today's session, guys, I'm going to focus on a couple of things. One is we'll learn Confluence as a tool. That's one part of it. We'll learn a new tool, how we can use Confluence in projects. The other part of it is we're going to discuss about underlying competencies, which is one of the chapters in ACPA. So Confluence, underlying competencies we'll try to cover. We will discuss some advanced level business analysis techniques. Okay. And then we will venture into SQL. How many of you want to learn SQL today? If you want to learn SQL, type yes in the chat box. I know many of you are looking forward to learn SQL. So we learn SQL. And we learn SQL only from the business analysis per se. So we will be filtering out all the queries that can be run by a functional BA, and we'll discuss only that. So I'll not get too technical into SQL. Okay, we'll leave the technicalities to the DBAs and the technical leads to have. And whatever a functional BA needs to know, that's exactly what we will focus on. Okay. So let's get started. Let me bring up my screen. So how many of you, before I start today's session, I would like to know how many of you have completed all the activities given so far. Type me in the chat box if you have completed all the activities and uploaded it in the exam simulator. So because I want to spend one day reviewing all these documents, and I want to do it together. I don't want to review one student's document and then the next day, a couple of days later, another student, because I want to release all your certificates together. Okay. I'm saying user stories are a little pending. What about the documents to be uploaded in exam simulator? Wonderful. All that was discussed so far. Okay, you're working on the FRD. That's great. That's great. So you're in a good position, that means. Okay. So I had asked you to write at least, I think, 5 user stories in Jira or something, and I'd identified those epics. So do attempt to write those user stories. Very crucial from the project per se. It will give you enough practice so that when you are allocated to a project, you are not struggling. I don't want any of my students to struggle because you must have here in the masterclass just written 1 or 2 user stories along with me, but that's not enough for practicing. Okay. So you need more practice. That's the reason I gave you a home assignment where you can write a bunch of user stories and you yourself can get confidence that, okay, if I was able to write this bunch, at least a 5 user story, I can comfortably do it in any of the projects. That's the reason these assignments are given to you. So I want each one of you to go to that Jira link. I hope you must have bookmarked when we created a Jira workspace for you. I want you to get into that Jira workspace because that's where we are going to explore our next tool, Confluence. So get into that, guys. Let me share my screen. So this is my Jira workspace. I want each one of you to get into your own URL of Jira, which we created in the previous sessions. Okay. Once you're there, just type I'm there. Each of these tools that we are using, guys, add it as a bookmark so it's easy for you to navigate and you don't need to look at, remember the URL or anything like that. Great. Then I'll start. Now, I hope my screen is visible to everyone. In case it's not visible, do let me know. So this is the Jira workspace that you see, and you get to see all these backlogs that we last time created, right? All these seller logins. So I'm in that backlog screen. Now, if you go to the left-hand side, there is a burger menu. This is called the hamburger menu in our IT terminologies because it has 3 layers, if you see. If you click on this menu, these are the options that will open out to you. It will say, okay, switch to Jira Work Management, Confluence, Administration. Okay. These are all Jira products, Atlassian products. So that's why we can switch. So we will select Confluence because we want to explore Confluence today. So let's click on Confluence. Go ahead and click, guys. I want you to explore it along with me. Click on Confluence and see what is the next page that opens up. So it is preparing Confluence, creating a workspace for you inside the Confluence tool. So this is the first screen that will come to you. And it's asking you what exactly does your team do? The standard set of questions. There's no need to worry much about it. You can either select an option here, or you can even skip. Let me select software development and click next. Select your role. So let's see what are the roles that are populated in Confluence. Software engineer and all is there. I don't see a role as a BA populated over here. So you can mention others. Others means it's asking what exactly is the role. So let me enter business analyst is my role. Name your first space in Confluence. This we can give any name. Let me give it my own name. Sajna Workspace. Sajna's. So in an actual project, we'll give the name of the project. So now the tool is creating a space for you. Just hold on. Then the standard screen that was shown to you when you created Jira account, that will also come if you want to invite your team members. In our case, we don't want to do that. We will just click on continue. So did you see, guys, as soon as I clicked on continue, it showed me a page which says, welcome to your documentation space. And it's giving you a couple of suggestions how you can get started and all. You can take a look at it, and in order to explore the documentation space more, you can read this later. I will show you what we need to know from the business analysis person. Now, this is a space that Confluence has created for you. How many of you are with me so far? Type WM if you are with me. You have reached with me. Great. So there is on the left-hand side the name of the space that you have given. And all the space settings, these are settings if you want to change the name and things like that, adding a shortcut. We are going to explore creating a couple of documents. If you see, I clicked on the create button. If you have not seen this, let me show you once again. If I was too quick, this, yeah, I come back to this space. Here I clicked on this button, create, this blue button. Okay. Now when I do create, what it opens up to me is a documentation template. A documentation template which is not having any section holders. It is a page. So you can compare each and every document here in Confluence exactly with a Word document that you're opening. Which means, just imagine that you're opening Word in your machine and working on a particular document. That is exactly what you're doing with Confluence also. So this is, if you look at it, this is same similar format page here that Word offers you. Now, all the formatting options you see on the top menu. So you can begin by giving the page a title. See, I mentioned functional requirements, whatever is the title I want to give. Then start creating, start adding whatever I want to add as functional requirements, as whatever is the project. Here, I also get an option to select templates. Okay. If I don't want to start right now, what I did is I just open, just like in Word, you open a new document and start working on a blank document and either start writing a letter or you start writing a formal document like a BRD, FRD. That's what I've done right now. But suppose I want to use one of the templates which Confluence offers me. Then what do I do? I don't want to, I don't know, as a fresher BA, I don't know how exactly will a document to capture the minutes of meeting look like. I don't know that. So I can utilize Confluence capabilities for that. How I can do is, I go in that first page that Confluence loaded, and there is something called as templates. I click on templates. So what I'm showing you right now is an alternate route. Either you click on create and start creating the document that you want. That is, if you are aware of what are the sections to be added in the document, you can go and do. So this create is equivalent to opening a blank document in Word. Now, templates will give you n number of templates. Suppose you are having a one-on-one meeting with a customer support. Then you can select this template, click on use, and it will open this page. Now you see, what is the advantage of having a template? Because the important elements that should be there in that document is already outlined to you. For a one-on-one meeting, what is the date of the meeting, time, participants, location, type of meeting, all of that is included. Then they have mentioned goals and progress, participants, what were the priorities. Now this section, I used to usually knock it off because in my meetings, we used to not track it as per goals of the meeting and things like. So in any template, guys, you can knock off the sections that you feel not relevant in my project, and you can customize the template. So what I used to add, I used to use this template, knock off this section because this made me feel a little complicated about a one-on-one meeting with the customer. So this is very much pertaining to a meeting where, let's say, a sales guy is having a meeting with his superior, where they're trying to track the progress on a quarterly basis and things like that. Then it is much important section in that case. So you can just knock it off. See, I just deleted it. I selected it and then deleted it. I can do that. In every section that you do not want, just knock it off. And I used to keep these important topics that are going to be discussed. So those sections I used to keep, and action items. Action item is I used to populate at the end of the meeting, where I used to indicate, okay, data from, let's say, one of the action item was fetching data from the production environment. One of the customers agreed that he will be providing this in the next 2 weeks. So I give a date to that, say 2nd December, data to be provided by 2nd December. And I mark it as an action item. Whatever is an action item on myself, which is something I had to check with my technical team and get back, I should add that as an action item with my name against it. So this is an advantage of using, there are so many different templates in Confluence that we can customize and use it as per our project. I brought this together. I brought only the sections that I required. Previously, it was not allowing me to delete that table. So for deleting the table, you just need to select the table like this. You can go and select delete or the cut option from here, from your template. So it eliminates eliminates the requirement for creating a document right from scratch. I can say that this is a meeting or YZ, whatever is the name of the requirement. I can give it a title. So what do we understand so far when we look at Confluence and this basic functionality? We understand that Confluence is one document management tool. Yes, mark this, guys. Take a note of this. Confluence is a document management tool which acts as a centralized repository for all the miscellaneous document that you might be creating in the project. See, all your user stories, epics will be contained in Jira. In the same, Jira is a part of the same tool, right? So all of that will be contained in the Jira part of the tool. And other documents like this, informal meetings that I'm having with the customer, or even the formal meetings, if I want to record, note down the minutes of meeting, I can do it using the templates over here. What are the other templates? One-on-one meeting we saw. You will see a whole bunch of other templates which are not relevant to our world. Okay. Confluence is one document management system that is used across various industries, various roles in the organization. Okay. So you'll see a lot of documents are pertaining to human resources. So human resource guys use Confluence, they will use that template. You don't need to worry on that. There is a 90-day induction plan, human resources. There are certain templates with business strategy, which is used by the sales and marketing teams. Then some technical documents, AWS architecture diagram. Brainstorming is something that's relevant to you. You can use this when you are having a brainstorming session to capture all the ideas that are generated in a brainstorming session. Then see, there are several documents for marketing and sales, designing team. Daily stand-up template is there. If you remember the Scrum meeting, daily stand-up meeting, this is very much relevant. If you're having a stand-up meeting with your team, you can use this template. You scroll through. If you're in your project, if there is a ritual of sending a weekly status report, you can use this format. What do we have from? There is another format for meeting notes here. If you want to use this, there is also a template for product requirements, which can be used by product managers. Okay, let's click on this and see. This template is mostly used by product managers or product owners, where they want to track how much, how many, what are the milestones that have been achieved so far, how many features were developed in every sprint. And so if you see this particular diagram, roadmap planner, this very much looks like the roadmap that we have in the Jira tool also, right? So that's essentially what they're tracking over here. How much, where are we exactly now? So the product manager will list down some key requirements in the form of user stories over here, some open questions. So this will come out of a meeting, okay? So this is going to be a meeting that will be held with the team, and based on which the product manager will update the success metrics, how much project goals were achieved, and things like that. But what I'm trying to show you that here in Confluence, I want you to spend some time and explore some of these ready-made templates. And there is some, unlike how we learned, how we learned using Jira, I actually showed you how user stories are uploaded. In Confluence, it's pretty straightforward. You'll see when you open a template, it is just like opening a Word document. So you just can open a template and just start typing over it. Remember the advantage. Now, you might be thinking in your mind, if it is just like Word, why can't I use Word? You can use Word also. But the only difference being is if you document all your minutes and meeting in Word, it will lie in your laptop. Nobody else can access it except you. If you do the same in Confluence, your entire team can access it, even if you're not there. So that is the advantage of a centralized storage mechanism, where even if after you have finished a meeting with the customer, you have documented everything, you have to rush off home, you don't have time to brief your client, you brief your team about it. You can quickly say that, hey, after the meeting, just while the meeting was going on, I documented the stuff in Confluence. Take a look at it. This is the name of the document, and I will. We will have a meeting tomorrow first thing in the morning when I reach office. That's exactly what I used to do. Everyone with me? What is the advantage of doing it in Confluence? It looks similar to Word because that's how the interface has been built. Very simple. It provides all the functionality that Word provides. Plus the added benefit that anyone can access your documents anytime. Your entire team will be having access to Confluence, right? So sharing of those documents, sharing documents with your product owner also becomes easy. There is no, when you do documents using Word in your machine, what happens is every time you want to seek approval of something, you have to attach that document and email. It is a very old-fashioned way and cumbersome. We used to do it during our early days when we didn't have tools like this. So a lot of documents flying around in emails, rather than keep it in a centralized repository. And if you are looking for an approval from your customer or approval from your technical team, just push them an email with a link to this document in Confluence. That check this document. Don't attach the document. There is no need to attach. and they can go and read it in Confluence itself. Yes, I see one question. Is it similar to Google Docs? It is similar to Google Docs. But again, the difference being your Google Docs, I will not be able to access unless you give me access permission, right? Here, in this centralized location, all your team members will be already having access. It's a workspace, a space that's created for a team, not for an individual. Google Docs is a space that's created for an individual, and that individual wants to share one document with someone, then that person can give access permission. Okay. This is a workspace created for a team, and everybody who is a part of that workspace can access each and every person's work. So I can also see the documents my developers have created. So my tech lead can say that, yesterday the requirement that we discussed, we've created a small flow diagram for that, and we put it in Confluence. Go and check that out, and let us know your thoughts about it. So I can see that also. Not only documents I create, but whatever they create, whatever my PO creates, I can see that. Also, if I want to restrict access to someone, I can do that in my settings. If I feel that certain documents have been given to my customer and told me, my customer has told me this is confidential documents. I'm just giving you access because you are the BA of this product. I can edit settings of that document, and I can include that, restrict access to anybody. That all that can be done. Your Jira administrator can facilitate all that for you. This is a very simple tool to use, guys. Everyone clear on that? You can explore this. You will see a lot of options over here. Different spaces. If you want to create a separate space, that, like I said, a workspace is a space that's specifically created for a team. It will create multiple workspaces. You can do that. In some project, they create a space for business documents. They create a separate space for technical documents. You can structure it the way you want in your project, basically. There is no standard way saying that you have to follow, you have to create just one space and follow. Whatever is convenient for your team, you can work it out. It's completely customizable. Yes, correct. I see that comment. The document can be saved just like you save it in MS Word. And do all of that. You can add your own, like in Word, we can add our own tables, everything, all of that we can. Also, there are some templates where you can add those bar charts, and if you want to do that, something like that, to create a report, you can do that. That's one part of it, Confluence. Now let's move on to our PA book. And we have a very interesting topic today. It's something that you guys already know about. So it's not something that you will learn brand new. Let me open the book. Give me a moment. Underlying competency is the chapter that we are going to discuss today. So if you remember, in the previous sessions, we have discussed all the knowledge areas. Knowledge areas are over. What is left now is underlying competencies and techniques chapter, of course. So the next session that we have will focus on some advanced level of techniques, which we have not so far discussed. A huge bunch of techniques we have already discussed when we were learning the business analysis knowledge areas. Now tell me, what's your definition of a competency? What do you understand by the word competency? Let's see who has a clear answer. responses. Skills, knowledge. These are is all that we're going to learn in this chapter is something that is always tested in your interview, isn't it? What are interviews? Interviews are basically held to test your knowledge of a particular topic, the skills that you are bringing to the table. Several interviewers also check the kind of attitude you have towards work. There are some questions targeted to that specifically. All of that is something that we're going to discuss in this chapter. What is that specific behavior, knowledge, personal qualities? Now, when we talk about personal qualities, you might be wondering, what is personal qualities? We'll see that. Okay. What is the knowledge related areas and what are the other skills that we should have to become a successful leader? So what WebOrg has done, again, IABA believes in categorizing everything. So all the skills have been grouped into six major categories. The first category being analytical thinking. Now tell me, what do you understand by analytical? Let me understand this. Whatever comes to your mind, tell me that. So analytical thinking consists of the following competencies. We have creative thinking, we have decision making, learning, problem solving, systems thinking, conceptual thinking, and visual thinking. These are the different elements we are going to learn under analytical thinking. Now tell me one example for each. Tell me what's creative thinking. What do you understand by creative thinking? Correct. Think outside the box. We have been doing a lot of creative thinking here in the masterclass, isn't it? When we created those mock-ups cannot happen without creative thinking. Thinking how the requirements that you gathered can actually evolve into a design. Creative thinking. Every time that you have done a brainstorming with your technical team, what you have done is creative thinking. All these are examples of creative thinking. Whenever you're generating a new idea, new approach, getting into the problem solving mode, it's creative thinking. The second skill that's spoken about here is decision making skill. Now, can anyone tell me here, where as a BA you will deploy this? Decision making. Okay, in meetings, yeah. How do you use these skills? Decision making skills. How will you use it? So when your customer is rather unsure about what would be the right approach to take, we jump into the suggestive mode, recommendation mode, right? So we are helping them take a decision. Learning skills, like I tell my students, as a BA, we should be a lifelong learner. That's exactly what BA Bock also speaks about. You should have, as a BA, you should have very good learning skills because it's required exactly when you are deployed in a new project, you will start utilizing your learning skills. If you are a fast learner, you will see that the time taken for you to get familiarized with the project is much lesser than a person who is not a fast learner, who is a slow learner. So learning skills for us has to be very sharp. Then, of course, the problem solving skills. There we have spoken about problem solving enough, so I'm not getting into details. And they have spoken about systems thinking. So what does systems thinking mean, guys? Anyone has any idea about what systems thinking is? Hmm, correct. Good point. So systems thinking not only means understanding how the system works, but also how the system will work in the environment that is deployed. That's, for example, you're developing an HR management system for the human resource department. how that group of people, the HR department, is going to use that particular system in their environment, in their department, and what benefits they will reap in the process. Understanding all of that, understanding the systems, the people, the processes, all are a part of systems thinking. So one way in which this particular question can be put forward in the exam is that a BA is trying to understand how people, processes, and technology within an organization interact. What competency is the BA using in this case? So this directly points to systems thinking. And then we have two other competencies which speak about conceptual thinking and visual thinking. Very, very easy. Conceptual thinking, we all know that, even in the master class, if you see, prior to the master class, I give you certain pre-recorded videos. I tell you, complete these videos before you come to the master class so that you can have certain level of conceptual understanding. Okay. So what I'm trying to build in you is one level or one layer of conceptual thinking and conceptual knowledge, so that when you come into the most master class, you are prepared for the boot camp, you know the basics, and we can take from that basic level, we can take it to the advanced level. So conceptual thinking is all about understanding a particular concept and then taking it to a level where you can implement that concept, okay? Which is what we do in the master class. Through these activities, we learn how it can be actually implemented in a project. And then the last parameter which talks about is visual thinking. Visual thinking, we all have used a lot in the masterclass because every other diagram that we created, process flow diagram that we created, the mock-up diagram, all of that is what is visual thinking all about. When you're creating any graphical model, it is a part of visual thinking. So these are the different categories that Webok has discussed in IIB has discussed in this particular chapter, underlying competencies for analytical thinking. Now you can use these categories to your advantage when you're giving an interview also. If they ask you, what are the core competencies that you bring to the table as a BA? Go prepared before the interview. Out of all of these competencies, what are the competencies that you are really confident in? So there are a whole bunch of competencies which the masterclass has built in. You can clearly mark it, like I told you about visual thinking and stuff like that. Certain high-level competencies you don't need to mark. Like, for example, let me give you an example. Like decision making. So when you get into project, when you actually get into a scenario where you want to help a customer take a decision and you are able to do that, that is when you can say that, okay, I helped this particular customer, I want so-and-so decision. So at an entry-level BA, if you're an entry-level BA, you are not an experienced BA, then you can clearly cross-mark that decision-making. You are never used this particular parameter in your current role. But whatever your role might be currently in the organization, you will be able to identify certain skills that you have utilized. And you can mark those skills, and when the interviewer asks you this question, you can say that as a BA, I'm very good. I'm a fast learner. And learning skills are one of the predominant skills that a BA should be having. But I'm a deep learner. I'm good in problem solver. I'm a very good problem solver. I can understand customers' problem, get to the depth of the customer's problem, and accordingly work out a solution to this problem. And similarly, visual thinking. So what I'm saying is, these wordings that are in DevOps, guys, don't allow these wordings to just line the books and just prepare it from the exam per se. Or these are some wordings that we can use to our advantage during the interviews also. Keep a tab of these words, because when your interviewer hears about these words, listen, he gets to hear this from your mouth. That itself brings up his confidence level. Okay, she really knows her job. How many of you feel if you respond to the interview in this particular way, it will give him more confidence about your capabilities? Yes, that's why I say this is a very important chapter for us, even not only for the exam, but in the exam, this chapter has less weightage, but it is very useful for us we can use this chapter to our advantage for cracking interviews. Because every interviewer has that standard question on a scale of 1 to 5. How much would you rate your problem solving skills? Which is the topmost skill that you bring to the table? So you can prepare all this and go. Whatever you feel is your strength areas, you can highlight it and highlight using these terminologies. That it adds a lot of weightage when you use these jargons. The next set of next category talks about behavior skills. You might feel that why behavioral skills are highlighted here. So let me show you. When I used to hire candidates for business analyst position, I used to disqualify certain candidates, even if they had very good analytical and problem solving skills. They were disqualified purely based on behavioral skills. Okay? So don't think that this is not that important. Several organizations do it. I personally, as a hiring manager, also used to do it. If I felt a particular candidate, and there was a bunch of behavioral questions that we used to ask candidates in order to gauge what exactly is based on that person's candidate's response to that particular question. We used to gauge what is the level of confidence he has and what behavioral pattern he will show in the organization once he joins us. You know, so and these parameters are outlined here in terms of ethics, personal accountability, trustworthiness, organization and time management, adaptability. All of this are core competencies for gauging a BA's behavior. Now, why is ethics marked here? You might feel that every role has to follow ethical practices, right? Everyone aware of ethics? What is ethics? Yeah, we say, right? Certain things are ethical to do, certain things are not. No, that's not ethical, guys. I will not do it. If someone asks you to do something wrong, like hacking into somebody's system, you based on the value system that you belong to, you'll say, hey, that's not the right thing to do. I'm not a part of this. So ethics, yes, principles, the values that you follow, correct. Very good. So even when you are given an offer letter from any organization, the offer letter along with your salary structure will have one supplementary attachment which talks about the code of conduct as an employee. What is the ethics that you should follow? You should not compromise any company data with the external parties, not exchange. All of that automatically becomes a part of the ethics. You should not exchange company data with anyone. So as a BA for us, it becomes all the more important. Why? Because we are dealing with directly with customer data, right? In several of my previous masterclass, also I mentioned this. Many times, my customer used to give me some sensitive information purely because of the trust that I had with him. It used to be very sensitive information which they can't disclose, but for a specific need, he used to give it only to me. I used to not even share it with my technical team. I just had to perform some analysis work on that and return it back to him. Okay? So those are the ethics that we need to follow. And several of these behavioral characteristics are, if an organization is putting you in a very critical project and data privacy and it's very, very crucial in that project. Sensitivity of data is very high in that particular project. They might ask you certain behavioral questions around it. Behavioral questions also include understanding how accountable that person is. What does accountability mean, guys? Yes. So as a BA, if your customer has given you a timeline by which you have to complete a document, complete a set of tasks, how much of a personal accountability you take that, okay, I am accountable to getting these things completed. Like I say that a BA's role is never an individual role. It is more of a team role. Just like when you look at sports, there are two categories, two broad categories of sports that you will see. One is the individual type of sports, and the other type category is the group sports, right? All in the individual category, we get all sports where an individual can perform on on herself or himself. Okay? They can perform and get the rewards on their own. Like we have swimming, we have tennis, we have badminton, all are individual sports. But in group sports, in team sports, we have categories like football, we have hockey. All of that requires a team to work together and reach a particular goal. So in a BA's role is more of this team role because we can't say that if we have completed the requirements document, our job is done. Now it is totally a technical team's headache to get the product delivered to the customer. No, if you're thinking in that lines, you're totally wrong. You're totally in a different world. As a BA, it is your responsibility to ensure that the product that your team is delivering to the customer is as per the customer's expectation. It means at every stage, you need to see how the product is shaping up. So it's more of a team role. You just can't say, my task is done and over and done and I'm leaving. Now it's totally up to them. They are doing the coding. We have to take total personal accountability for our tasks as well as the tasks. Many times, many of you who have already worked as PAs, you know that sometimes we get into escalation calls with the customer. And those escalations might be due to some blunder our technical team has done. They wrote their code was working in the UAT environment, but not working in the actual production environment. It happens, right? So as a BA, will I say, hey, I have not written that code. Code is written by the technical team. Okay, so don't shout at me. I can tell my customer that don't shout at me, don't escalate under my name. It's code written by my technical team. Can I do that, guys? Yes or no? Can I just wash my hands off saying that it's my team who has done it? I don't know any coding. We have to take accountability. So there are several times customers raise issues about bad quality code, bad quality testing done by the testing team. So these are different, although these are different areas, this is not, you personally will not be coding for the application, you personally will not be testing, but you are accountable for all of this. And then comes, of course, trustworthiness, the trust relationship that you have with your customer, the organization and time management, and the adaptability. Very three important parameters. As a BA, you have to take a note of this, guys. As a BA, you need to have a very good relationship with your customer in terms of trust. If you don't have a good, if your customer does not trust you, you will see a lot of those escalations that are happening in the project are primarily due to this trust issues. So there was this customer of mine, I keep telling my student, she used to be a micromanager. She used to micromanage every damn task that we are working on. Micromanage the development team, testing team, as well as me. Her talks used to be more of a demotivating kind of talks to the entire team. And over a period of time, that kept on increasing. Unless and until one of the project manager made me realize that you work on this trust issue, Sarina. He told me what is lacking between you and her is trust. Once you build up her trust, once she starts trusting you, you will not see these issues in the project. So he told me that this is one thing that you have to work on. And in the next couple of months, I worked on building a good rapport. Be more friendly with her. For all the rudeness that she put forward in front of her, there was always a very happy and nice way in which I spoke to her, rather than being silent. So I opened out from that silent person that I used to be more communicative with her and apologize wherever I felt that I should apologize. And in the next few months, we built a good rapport with her. And just like my manager said, we saw things improving slightly. Those are when it is not required. Because she exactly fell into that category. Wherever we did good work, there also we were not being appreciated. But that slowly toned down, of course. So as a BA, very, very important, guys. Build a very good rapport with your customer. Build a good trust with your customer. That's the reason behavioral competencies are very, very important. How many of you with me so far? So rapport building for us is very, very essential because we are in a customer-facing role. If this was not a customer-facing role, then we don't need to focus on all these things, rapport and things like that. So our technical team and our testing team is altogether in a different side. That means they don't need to focus much on these kind of behavioral skills because they are not in a customer face. They'll be always putting you as a BA in front of the customer. So different roles have different expectations, and one of the expectations of our role is good, good customer handling skills. And this is what stakeholder management is all about. And some of the organizations have specific questions in the interview where they try to focus on how good you are in your stakeholder management skills and things. So how many of you are prepared for the test, requirement analysis test? Let's go to the exam simulator. Each one of you log into exam simulator. I have a small test for you over there. Don't worry that even if you get a low score here, that's okay. Just run a test to see where we stand. That's it. So if you open the exam simulator here, yeah, and you come to the practice test, the last practice test is masterclass quiz. How many of you can see that masterclass quiz? Yes. So this is the quiz that you have to start. So just click on that particular quiz and get started. It just has 10 questions. Okay. So I'll give you 15 minutes to solve this quiz. Start the quiz, and then we will move ahead. We will go to the next section where we will talk about SQL. We'll start learning SQL, and then we'll come back to the competencies, the remaining portion of the chapter. Otherwise, then it becomes relatively dry when we're talking about competencies all the time. Okay. So 15 minutes, I will leave you with this particular test. Complete this test, and let's see how much you score. Masterclass quiz, it is called. What is it, guys? How's the test? Has everyone completed or everyone was taking a break? Are you guys there? Back with me? We are going to start SQL now. What are the scores? Type in the scores, guys, in the chat box. Great, 80%. That's good. 60% is also nice. Means although most of you must have not even prepared for this chapter, you are still in a good position. Most of you might have just responded to the questions based on whatever you recollect from the previous session. I know that you must have not formally prepared for this chapter, but it is good. This will give you a confidence level that, although you're not prepared, you just could recollect certain facts that we discussed in the previous sessions, that those facts have helped you reach up to 60% or 80%. So that's a good start, guys. Now let's look at SQL and we'll come back to our competencies chapter later. Get my presentation. Anyone can tell me what's the full form of SQL? Who knows the full form of SQL? If you're from IT, you'll be definitely knowing this. Yes, it's structured query language. What's structured query language? Structured query language is it's not a programming language. Don't worry about it. It is just a query that we can fire in the backend to retrieve some data or insert some data. Okay, so we'll see. So most of these queries are in the plain English language format. That is the reason it becomes relatively easy for BAs to understand. So we will learn only the queries that a functional BA will be using. If you are working in a project as a technical BA, you might be having much more deeper knowledge of SQL. So SQL or SQL, when you go deeper into it, it gets very, very technical. It is technical. But as a business analyst, we don't need to. Like I tell in all my webinars and seminars, I like to keep the technical complexities out of business analysis. So we will focus only on elements, only on areas where we as BS can add value. So let's first start off with the first basic concept. Why do we need databases? So if you are from the non-IT background, you must have definitely heard the word databases, but you might be wondering, what are these databases? Why these IT guys so much they talk about databases? What exactly is there in a database? So database actually stores large amounts of data for us. So when you talk about an organization, let's say, for example, a bank. Now, the bank stores millions and millions. They have millions and millions of customers across the globe. So then the volume of data produced on a daily basis is very, very huge. All the customer transactions are stored as data in the bank's database. So such large organizations like banks, insurance companies, retail companies, manufacturing firms, all these large organizations which are uh, who are creating data on a regular basis, and they have a huge customer base, they cannot store all of that data in an Excel sheet, right? It is a bad way of doing it, and your Excel sheet will not be able to hold that data. So we need a data storage mechanism for which we call it as a database. So this is the backend. This will be the backend for all the systems that you will be managing in your IT environment. So database allows you to manage large volume of data. It ensures that there is accuracy in the data that is getting stored. The data is easy to update. Data is secure. That is nobody else is hacking into it. Like for example, each one of us have our social media profile, right? We might be having an account in Facebook, LinkedIn. All of that data is getting stored in, LinkedIn is having its own database to store it. Facebook is having its own database to store it, all the user information. So their databases are taking care of the security of our data so that nobody else can hack and use it. Data integrity, how easy to search the data is from the database. All of this, in order to facilitate all of these things, we need a database. Okay. We can think about a database as a data storage mechanism which provides all these facilities. Now, why does a BA need to know SQL? Now, when I came into business analysis, guys, frankly, in those days, we as BAs, we never got into writing SQL queries because we had a separate DBA who handled the complete database operations. DBA is database administrator. So, or most of our projects had a DBA or a technical lead who took care of the database front. So, I personally have never written a single SQL query or helped my team write SQL queries. But as the years went on, what happened is there were several instances where the DA had to extract data from the production environment or the UAT environment and analyze the data, see what is the pattern in that data and all of that. For various reasons, they had to do it. So organizations started including this also as one required skill set in a BA, that they should be able to, although a BA profile is purely functional, they should have at least a basic knowledge of SQL. How many of you have seen that appearing in most of the job descriptions? That basic knowledge of SQL is preferred. Hmm? So you will see this in most of the job descriptions that are there today. The entire job description will be purely functional. Requirements gathering, karne ka hai, requirement analysis is there, and documentation, FRD, user story, pure functional. But they must have included one tag that should also know. But that is the reason we started including it in our masterclass also. So let's get started. The queries. So when I talk about, I already told you what a database is, a data storage mechanism, right? Now, when you visualize a database, I'm saying visualize because we can't see it right now in front of us. It's not like a screen. There is no UI interface to it, right? It's the backend we are talking about. So when you visualize a database, I want you to just think correlate it for all the people who are in non-IT. IT guys understand this very much, but people who are from non-IT, they will have a difficulty in visualizing how a database might be looking like. So you just have to think when you open an Excel sheet, one particular Excel sheet will have multiple, you can have multiple sheets within one Excel document, right? So in the Excel sheet, you can create tables of information, columns and rows are there. Everyone agrees in an Excel sheet, we have columns and rows, right? The rows, each and every individual rows, which are in the horizontal fashion and the columns in the vertical fashion. So just think about a database as a table which consists of columns and rows, which we call as fields and records. So each column has a name attached to it, and every row has a value. So a database will consist of a bunch of certain these kind of tables. So let me take you to a simple example of three tables. Take a look at this on your screen. What is shown is we have a user table that is storing the ID of the user, the first name, last name, address, and email. This is all the user information. Then we have the second table, that is the products table, which is storing obviously the product ID, the name of the product, the description, how much is the stock currently, stock count, the price of the product, and there might be many more details. So we have just put minimum columns over here. Now, if you look at the third table, what is the third table saying, guys? Third table is the order table. Order table says that it will contain details of all the orders that the user has made. And what it is, if you look at the content of the order table, it says it starts with an order ID, then user ID, product ID, and the agent who has logged that particular order, the agent has taken, the customer support agent who has taken that order. Now tell me, how are these three tables related to each other? What do you understand by the connection that's shown? User, products, and order. Just think about it with as these three tables belong to a retail website like Amazon or Flipkart. What do we understand? Just let's spend some time understanding this, and then we'll get into the queries. Yes, they are connected with unique ID. That is correct. We understand each of the tables have unique ID. And again, when we are talking about ID, let me say in our SQL language, this unique ID is called a primary key. Note it down. It is called the primary key. So in the user master, what is the primary key, guys? Which column is the primary key? User master. Who can give it? Yes, correct. Similarly, for product master, what is the primary key? So user master, the primary key is user ID. Product master, the primary key is product ID. Correct. So how are the three tables connected then? How can we establish a connection? Right. So if we take these three tables in a simple website scenario, a retail website, e-commerce website, we can say if all the user information, like information about you and me who are shoppers on the website, all of our user information will be stored in which table? It will be stored in users table. My first name, last name. So if we are regular visitors to the website, if we have created an account on the website, our information will be stored in the users table. Now, products table will be again an independent table. Okay, user table and product table are independent tables. Product table will contain all the information about the products that are there on the Amazon website. The name, description, lots and lots of information will be there in the products table. Now, these two tables, users and products, can get connected when the customer places an order. That means me or any one of you, if you go to the Amazon website, log into your account and place an order, an entry goes into the orders table saying that, okay, user ID so and so, let's say my user ID is 2104. So user ID 2104 has purchased product of the ID 401, 5820, and some other ID. Okay, three products I have purchased. Orders table will keep a tab of all the different products that I have purchased in that one transaction, one order that I placed. So that is the information that will be contained in the orders table. So orders table will be one table that will be referring to these two tables, users and products information. Got it, guys? How they are related? You've got it. Type got it in the chat box. So we have now, for in case of when we take an example of a large e-commerce website like Amazon, their database is very, very huge. So they might be having so many different tables. Okay, we have just taken a subsection so that because we don't want to increase complexity. So when you actually look at their data schema in the backend, it might be very huge. They might be having lots and lots of more tables containing their data. Now let's take this exercise further. Let's see. So the first syntax that we need to understand is the create database syntax. So if you want to create a database, like I told you, database can consist of a bunch of tables. The command that you will use is create database and give a name to it, whatever name. So here in this case, I've given the name marketplace. You can change it with whatever name you want to give. Create database and the name of the database is the syntax. Include a semicolon towards the end of it that you can, because that's the syntax. So it won't, wherever there are some semicolons, brackets, ensure that you don't miss it, otherwise the syntax won't work. After that, now that you have created a database, now within the database, you want to create one table. You are creating a table structure. What do I do then? I use the syntax create table. That's why I say it is very much like the plain English language that we use on a daily basis. I create database for creating database, create table for creating table. But here again, little bit of syntax we have to remember. After create table, I give the name of the database. In my case, I created marketplace dot whatever table I want to create. I'm trying to create a product table. So I give the name as products table. Then I start a bracket, a rounded bracket, and I write the name of all the fields over there. Whatever columns I want. When I say fields, just visualize an Excel sheet and think, okay, in the Excel sheet, I'm creating a column called as product ID, product name, product category, product description, and product and price. Okay, I'm creating these 5 columns. So in SQL, when you want to create a table with these 5 columns, this is what you need to do. Mention the name of the column, product ID, and mention the data type of the column. What does the data type means? What kind of value is permissible in that? Product ID should take only integer values, number values, that means. Product name can be varchar. Varchar means it should allow alphabets as well as numbers. Whichever field you want to take in both alphabets as well as numbers, indicate that as varchar. That is a technical term for it. And with varchar, I have also given 25, which means 25 should be the maximum limit, not more than 25. So product name and product category, product description, I mentioned varchar should accept numbers as well as alphabets. Price, again, I indicated should only be integers. I don't want anybody to add alphabets over there. So product ID is strictly number, price is strictly integer. So this is something, these are certain syntaxes we have to keep in mind, that along with the name of the column, always indicate the data type of that particular field. This facility is there in Excel also. If you have used Excel extensively, you will see you can go to a particular column and set the field value, saying that this field should accept only so and so value, number value, alphabet value. Has anyone explored that in Excel? You can go to the settings and you can mark it in this particular field should allow only alphabet values or date and time values or decimal values. Same thing, the same logic works here in SQL as well. Everyone with me so far on the create table syntax, guys? Then now let's move to the next syntax. So I'm going to make you write some of the syntax. So keep a note of this, guys, okay? We will go to the next syntax and come back to them. Now that you have created a table, understand the table is empty. It is not having data. You have created a structure for the table. You just added column headers. Now, add value to the table. So insert into is one command that can help you add data into the table. So give insert into, mention the name of the table. My case, I said customers is the name of the table. And within the rounded brackets, give all the names of the fields. Customer ID, customer first name, address 1, address 2. Mention all the names of the fields. And then values is one syntax. Again, you have to remember. Whatever follows the values are the values that will be inserted in your table. Like in this case, I've asked the syntax. I've asked the query to insert a value 101, customer ID, customer first name as Peter, New Zealand as his address, and address 2 I have put in, and city. Okay. So these are certain, this is a way in which you can insert data into your master tables. So just mention a note, insert into command that you will use for inserting data. Again, if you take a closer look at the values parameter, guys, you will see each of the value I have put in double quotes. Very important, whenever you want to add a character string, you always put it in double quotes. That is a syntax. If it's a numerical value, like for example, the first value 101 is number. I don't need to put it as double quotes. Number values can be indicated just like that. Now, after insert, let's say you want to do an update operation. That means there are some data in the customer's table. You want to change that data. So a simple command, update customers. Previous command that we did is insert into customers table. Here, what we're doing is updating information. So we are doing update customers. Update customers is a command. And after that, you have to mention which column you want to update. So here I say set contact name equal to Alfred, city equal to Frankfurt. Okay. So which two fields will get modified here, guys? Which two fields are getting modified here in the first query? Yes. First query, contact name and city is getting modified. Now, I have also used something else over here, which is called the where clause. Now, from where this where clause came? Where is a conditional operator. Wherever we can use this conditional operator wherever we want. Okay, here I have added that where customer ID equal to 1. Why did I do that? Tell me what is the use. Why did I use set contact name is equal to Alfred Shame, city equal to Frankfurt, where customer ID equal to 1. Why did I use this where? Correct. To only update, because I want to update only customer who has an ID equal to 1. Now, my query, update query will also work if I remove the where. Okay. It is not mandatory to have a where. But what will my update query do in that case? If where is not there, it is going to update all the contact names to Alfred and city equal to Frankfurt. The entire database will be modified. Everywhere you will see the contact name as Alfred and city is Frankfurt. Correct. You get my point? So where clauses are always used to inject that criteria into your query. Then don't go and update everything. Just update this specific record. Yes, it acts as a filter. That's very nice word. So same example you can see in the second statement. Update customers, set contact name is equal to where country equal to Mexico. So wherever. So in this case, it might be that for the country Mexico, this person, the contact person who was appointed by the company previously has now resigned and the new person has joined. His name is Juan. Okay. And so the company wants to update their database. Wherever country is Mexico, change that contact person to this new person's name, Juan. This query will just help them do that. Everyone with me so far, guys? Great. Are you finding SQL easy? Easy to understand? We will start seeing, practicing this a little. I have a tool that we can use to see this in action. You'll see that in some time. Let's learn this insert, update, delete, and then we will go to that. Now we have something called as delete query. Delete from customers where customer name equal to Alfred's. What am I trying to do here is from the customers table, all the occurrences of customer name as Alfred. There might be multiple occurrences or there might be a single instance I want to delete. Delete this specific customer record I'm saying. And so if I fire a query without a where clause, what will happen? It will go ahead and delete everything. So I put a where clause indicating that only delete this particular record. As you said, it acts as a filter.
So in the next class, we'll learn SQL operators, SQL practice tool. We'll continue the chapter competencies and also learn some advanced business analysis techniques.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Take care.